feeling, my brother? How you been, man?
We are here, my brother. We are here. Look like you're chilling in Miami hard for real.
Nice to see you, bro. Word,
You
thank
too.
you.
Listen, we got a ton of material to jump off. So I just want you to tell them about your humble beginnings. When's the first time you saw graffiti art?
The first time I saw graffiti art was a young boy living in Chicago, barely in preschool, and my old man was a banger, and his little brothers were bangers, and one of his youngest brother turned Latin King, so he did this crown in the alley, and my old man, I was in the car with my old man when my uncle wanted to show it to him. So we hopped in the car, we went over there to this alley, they got out of the car, it was nighttime, the lights were on it, and I was just sitting in the car looking out the window at this fucking crown that my uncle did in the alley while my old man and my uncle chopped it up.
So that was the first time you saw graffiti?
That was the first time I saw somebody, like he didn't spray it right there, it had already been done, but it was the first time I saw spray paint on the wall, like, you know, that it impacted my life, that, you know, it was a part of my life, part of my daily activity.
Word.
How did it make part of my day?
How did it make you feel when you saw it that first time?
Man, I was just bugging out. You know, I was young. I was real young. I'm talking like toddler young. And the shit just bugged me out. Just looking at, you know, being in the alley, being in the car, being with them two, you know, watching them in the alley talk about this thing that, you know, he did on the wall. It was just like, you know, it was just surreal.
Word.
It was a unique experience to be that little and just, you know, to experience that.
Word up. So then you come to Miami and you start painting, right? You start rocking. Tell us a little bit about this, what neighborhood it is, who were the writers getting up in this neighborhood before you were bombing?
So this is my first MECS piece. I did like a couple of throw-ups, and I did a couple of like shell-style pieces with no fillings before I did this, but this was like my first piece that I did with colors. And you can see it looks real crazy, like those blends don't really blend in that much. And I was struggling with the outline. That night I was with Seal, Merlin, L, and Mir. And actually Merlin helped me out with the assist on that outline. And he did those little fill-ins. Now, I think I did those fill-ins, but he definitely helped me do that outline. That one-line outline, that was Merlin right there. You could tell it kind of got a little Merlin influence on it, too.
No doubt. And I want to pay special attention to this right here, man. Anybody from Kendall, especially from my generation, that K. Y'all know you were practicing that K on the back of your school notebooks. Everybody, MECS was probably the most practiced tag in all of Kendall and Killian, man, back then, my brother.
And that's not even the fully evolved version. That's the juvenile version of that tag.
Word. All right.
Word, yep. Baby Pennant, Toyd MC. That was another one of my early. That's probably my second piece. I think I did that MECS, and then this was the second thing that I did. And Seal took me to do this. And Seal was the one that inspired me to do this. He was like, "Oh, you got to get up on the front wall." So we went racking some cans that day. He took me over there. It was a couple of us too. It wasn't just me and Seal. I can't remember who else was there. But yeah, we rocked that. I had a good time with that one because that was on the front wall facing 7th Street. So that was like prime time. And then my boy Val down there, that's the dude that I started writing with. That was like basically that's my second writing partner when I started writing, Val. And when we first started, he used to write Toxic. That was his first tag.
Word.
And then I used to write Casper.
Wow. So we had Toxic and Casper, and that was Val and MECS. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, when he speaks of racking, he's talking about the illegal acquisition of spray paint. No longer a skill, this practice, because we all buy our spray paint. That's a good thing. Support the spray paint, brethren. Let's keep it going, yo. All right, so MECS, we keep it going. And what do we have next?
That's a Black Book page. Yeah, I did that probably late 88. Actually, that was 89. I was in MacArthur when I did that. I sketched that in a classroom when I was at MacArthur. Then I went home later on that night and I finished that joint. That's when I came up with a solo crew. It was going to be my solo crew called Jetstream King, JSK. That was like, you know, a self-portrait. I'm rocking the AIM medallion and the little AIM necklaces. And I always had that blue satin Nike hat back then. So
I remember.
yeah,
I remember
I go
that.
crazy for
No
that.
doubt. No doubt. What kind of markers did you use for this?
Yeah, that's all designer markers. Man, I want to throw that piece up, man. That piece still got style. That shit looks crazy. I like it. AIM throw a fountain blue pennant. And I remember that. That was Seal's mission. Seal fucking got me, Foe. I don't know who else went that day, but it might have just been me, Seal, and Foe. And then the plan was to hit the walls at the end of the landing in the fountain blue pennant and all the stairwells. So again, we went racking paint. We went to this, there was a Sears store right on Burr Road and 67th Ave. And we went in there and we racked mad paint, us three, and then we went and did these white and black in all the landings.
And that's a very classic Miami style throw up.
And that style is actually an adaptation of ATA. That's basically where this style came from. I don't know I'm sure a lot of writers in the room remember ATA crew, but they used to do their ATA with those same A's. And then, you know, that M probably well, really this throw came from New York, but the style down here was known from ATA. And I remember that dude MECS. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember MECS. He was a down south writer, and he used to get up with those M's. So that's pretty much, you know, like an adaptation of ATA and MECS, and that was the style back then. And I still like that. It's hard to rock. I don't think I could do it that good anymore.
Word. And by the way, right now, if you're just joining us, you are in tune to the one MEC from AIM crew. My name is Brimstone, and I'm here rocking with you. And if you can, please support us by purchasing a badge. $1, $2, $3, $4. Every bit counts, and we're going to keep it moving with the one and only MEC. Let's go. And so,
oh, yeah.
We don't, you know, just whatever you feel when you see these, what do they remind you of? Who was there with you? Where were you?
That was a solo wall that I used to rock on my own. That was, there used to be an Eckerd right down the street from my crib. And they used to sell this cheap paint called Now or some shit. And whenever I wanted to paint and nobody was around, I would just go over to that Eckerd, rack a couple of cans, and go up there and fuck around at nighttime. So I had all those walls up there bombed, like above the Winn-Dixie. And that was the main wall that you could see from Sunset when you went westbound on Sunset. Like right after you passed like 148, you saw that. So I did this. I did a bunch of shit. There was that blue to the left of the A, that blue like dusty stuff. There was a gold mech there. Then I did this A, and then to the right of that A where you see this like blue and yellow with a black outline and a shine, that was an M. And then I did this step into the AM. So I must have done that like 1990 or late 89 when Third Base came out.
Yeah, and I mean, I know hip hop
is have a cut step into the AM. That was Third Base, right?
Yep, Third Base. And I know that you know, hip hop has always been a major part of your life. I mean, you introduced me to ultramagnetic MCs. Matter of fact, I remember hanging out at MEC's house with Val. MEC would say every morning he'll just put on ultramagnetic MCs, critical beatdown, and get ready for school. That was this brother's meditation, jumping on the bus with markers, doing whatever he had to do to make it happen. So we're gonna keep it moving on with the King AIM right here, my brother. Where was this blockbuster?
So that was Hialeah. That was seen off the rail before you got to the Okeechobee station, which was the last station at the time. So it was basically underneath 74th Street. Those are the supports for 74th Street where it goes over the train tracks. Right there, pretty much right when you get off the Palmetto. And we went there and we rocked that. It was me, Seal, that's Seal in the middle, that's me on the end there, and that's Foe over here to the right. And then we also went with Nassau. So it was me, Seal, Foe, Nassau, we rocked that. And it was funny when we went there, we had to jump 2 fences to get there. But Nassau was kind of a heavy set dude, he couldn't jump the fences. So I don't know, for some reason I think that dude stayed in the car, but I could be mistaken. But I know he was having a hard time jumping the fence.
Word.
And then, when we did this, if you zoom in on that A, to the left, that crack, So you see that crack that has that little bit of dust on it, like a little shadowing traveling. It looks different from the rest of the cracks. It looks more defined, and then the other cracks get a little sketchy. I started doing those cracks, and for some reason, I just didn't like the way they were coming out. And I was like, told Seal, I was like, yo, why don't you take over the crack job? You do dope cracks. So then Seal finished off the crack job.
Word up.
Yeah. That was, again, another one of Seal's ideas. That was another Seal mission. He came up with the spot. We came up with the color scheme. And NASA was the ride, and we rocked that.
Word.
That was in 7-Up, so we were stepping on, we're stepping on another crew's territory, too. That was the 7-Up area. 7-Up used to rock those walls.
No doubt. Big up 7-Up crew, 7 urban poets. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Yep, AIM. That's pretty much my first. Man, is that the first or the second? I don't know. That might be my first AIM piece that I did. Then we rocked that in the dump. That was pretty much right behind Bird Drive Park on 72nd Avenue and North Waterway Drive. So as soon as you came off Bird Road and you started heading northbound on 72nd, before you turned right onto Waterway Drive, you looked in over the bridge and you saw that right in the dump.
Yeah.
So we actually had to go in there and clear all the trash that was in front of the wall and then rock that piece.
No doubt. And you see, I noticed that you have some similar themes. Like a lot of the backgrounds continue to have these kind of, you see these lines that you just make. That's how we were doing backgrounds back then, before all these big themed backgrounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no 3D, no drop shadow, just a straight black outline. Everything had a black outline pretty much back then. If it wasn't black, it was white, and that was it.
Yeah, it says nothing comes easy, not even fame.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, that's a Dunn mission. Dunn picked me up one day with Center, and them homies wanted to paint, and I knew these houses that they were building right by my house. So we went over there. I had these cans. I had those burgundies, and then me, Dunn, came together with all the other colors. But I put in all those burgundies. I was never happy with that burgundy outline, but that was like the color that we had the most of. And yeah, we rocked that, man. And then you kind of saw that off of 147 between Miller and Sunset. So if you like look through the doorway or the window of the house while it was being constructed and you were traveling on 147, you saw that through the wall, through, like the windows and doors and shit.
Nice. Now, quick question, Mex. Before you go on, I am continuing to see this background style. It's very similar. Was that unique to AIM Crew at the time, or what? Is this how most people were doing their backgrounds?
Yeah, I kind of got that. I kind of got a lot of people were doing these lines, like those lines between the I and the M. Like a lot of people were doing that, and I'm pretty sure that definitely came from the city. Guaranteed that came from New York, and then Merlin used to do that shit a lot, and he was a big influence on me. So I started, adopting that into my style, but then trying to make it unique. Like I did these flares coming off the bottom of the M and the A, and I did like these ovals in between the letters, these like ovals with some shading. So I kind of like, molded it and shaped it to what I needed. So it was what everybody was doing, but it was a little like a flip. I flipped the script on that style and took it to my level. You know what I mean?
Word up. And by the way, if you want to know who we're talking with right now, you are live on IG with Art Talk, my brother Mex from AIM Crew. Make sure you please support the program, pick up a badge, and we're going to keep it going because we got a lot to cover. Let's get it.
Oh, man. That was a crowning achievement for me right there, man.
What about it?
Man, that whole piece just was sick at that time for me. Like that style, that was an outline that Fo and I were working on together jointly. So Fo kind of came up with the flow of the letters, and then I kind of like took over the style and turned it into a working piece. And that character was ill at the time, but every time I look at it since I've done it, I was like, man, that character looks fucked up.
Again,
but it
you
still
see,
looks dope. It looks
again,
dope.
you see that.
It's got like a funny chin and shit, you know, but it's still chilling.
But you see the AIM logo again, and I like how, I don't know how many crews in Miami in the early times had their signs, you know, and AIM crew definitely had their sign and they put in all their pieces, right?
Yeah. I was the one that developed that, as a matter of fact. That was a birth child of me, that little A, that like little script A with the halo.
Yep. As you see it on this piece again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this,
Yeah,
I
that
know
was
I saw this off the Metro Rail. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
that was off the rail. That was in downtown. That's actually a couple of blocks from where I'm sitting right now. It's like 3 blocks away from here. But that was a building that I saw being constructed. Back then, I used to ride the rail like every day. I used to go to J.R.E. Lee's. I used to skip school, come to Overtown, cab, do this, whack all day in downtown, do, you know, stupid shit. Bomb, get up, just fuck around. So I saw this building, and one day I decided to go over there. I was like, let me get off at the Brickell station and peep it out. So I walked over there. It was wide open. And then there was a beautiful wall on the rooftop that you could see from the rail. So one night, we used to go on these bombing missions, but on this one bombing mission, me and Foe, we racked a bunch of cans, and we decided to, on a Friday night, we left my hood because he came to visit me at Kendall. So we hopped on the train, we hopped on the rail, we rode down to downtown, and we bombed downtown all night. I mean, all night, because the rails back then, I think the rails stopped at like midnight or something. So once midnight came, that was it. Wherever you were stuck, or you had the Tom and Jerry, which is for those that don't know, that means walk. So we decided to just bomb downtown all night, and then we ended up in this building at the end of the night, and we did throw ups all over the walls, and we caught tags, and you know, we claimed spots, and then maybe like 2 weeks later, or a week later, or maybe even the next weekend, or a few days later, I don't even remember. Me, Foe, Seal, and Nasto, we went up there and rocked that piece. So we did that AIM with this character. That's a classic Foe character.
Yep.
Again, that outline is a MECS and Foe production. Foe, again, came up with the flow of the letters, and I just finished off the outline. And Seal came up with the color scheme. And then we rocked. There was another wall that was like right here facing southbound, and we did an NO for Nasto.
Word.
In a similar style. This again was done at the same period. This was actually done maybe a couple of weeks or a month before we did the previous AIM. That again's on that front wall at the baby pennant that you saw from 7th Street. Again, that was another Seal mission. Seal came up. We were all hanging out at Seal's house. It was me, Seal, Foe, and Nasto. And we sat there and we sketched the outline. I sketched that outline and I did that character. Oh, no, Foe sketched out that character. And I did that outline, and then Foe sketched out the character, and then I threw it all up. And then we had all this rack paint at that time. When Nasto was in the crew, he was the only one with the car, and we used to go on these big racking missions. And, man, we would come home with hundreds and hundreds of cans, literally. No exaggeration. No exaggeration.
No doubt.
And so we had all these dope pastels, that pastel yellow, hot pink, dove gray, and all those old school colors that you can't find no more. Classic shit.
Word. Now, I remember seeing this one from the train on my first train. I think it was on my first time I was riding the train to see graffiti, right? And this is like the beginning of you sharing with us who you started rolling with. Now, within AIM or within the other cliques and outside other crews, you start developing partnerships. So just talk to us. I'm going to go through a few of these flicks and just talk to us a little bit about the partners you've had over the years. This is Doze, DK, and MECS right here.
Yep. That was a good night too. That was we had an AMRA on another wall, and then DK and Doze and I decided to rock this big wall. And we went there, man. I planned so hard for that piece. I did that sketch on a black book. I finished that black book page right before they picked me up. I ripped that shit out of the black book, and we went over there and rocked that. Doze and DK flew through their piece like this. Man, I was there painting and massaging and painting and massaging, and it was a long night for them.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
some more
RA
unifications, right? RA and AIM crew.
Yeah, well, RA and AIM were, you know, synonymous with each other due to VIP. Seal and Merlin and L were all part, and Junior were all part of VIP. So it was just natural for AIM and RA to, you know, pretty much unify. You know, we were inseparable. You know, we would put them up and they would put us up, and so on and so forth.
Word. Another
That's
MRA production off the Metro Rail, right?
Yeah, that wall was right next to that Doe's DK Mech. So that Doe's DK Mech was on a wall behind, and then this one was like right off the rail. So when you were coming on the train, it was dead smack in your face. You could not miss that. And that was the first full color character that I ever did.
Word. All right, let's go. So you started these missions, right? You got Merlin, Mech, and L. And I remember y'all just smashed US1, smashed Kendall. I mean, this was this crew right here. And y'all, it's like this team right here was battling Dunn and Seal for who can get up the most during that time.
That's right. That's right. That's funny shit. Yeah, that was, that's like in South Miami,
yeah,
something. It's like between South Miami and, oh, it's where Merrick Park is right now.
Yep.
That stood where Merrick Park is today.
Merrick.
That's right. And that was like a yoga studio or some shit. Oh man, yep.
Now this right here. So there was an AML City 1, right? What can you tell us about the first piece? And then this is part 2. Who participated in the first one?
The first one was just too raw. That piece, man, that piece could have been peeled out of Subway art. That shit looked like it belonged on a whole car. That piece just blew my mind when I saw that. I used to travel on that stretch of the highway all the time. And when I saw that piece, that shit just blew my mind, man. I would go up there and sit there and study it. I took pictures of that. I would study that piece so hard. That was before I was in AIM. And that was Solo, Seal, and TMS. So TMS rocked all those characters. You know, the cans, the crate. That whole background was TMS. And then the letters, the AIM with the All City, that was Solo. And Solo was a raw artist who I believe was schooled by SAR. That was also a raw artist, man. And those homies just had style. They just had so much fucking style. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
And they were clean with it too. That was what was amazing. With stock tips, they were just maestros with the can.
Yeah. The Love House.
Love House.
What is this place?
Man, that was an abandoned building right on North Waterway Drive, right there by Seal's house, right behind Bird Drive Park, which is like AIM stomping ground. That building became abandoned or something. Seal was going out with this chick, Yami, at the time. So me, Seal, and Mir went and rocked this piece on a cold night. We walked from Seal's house and did that joint. And then that building ended up becoming like our hangout. We broke into it. We put couches in it, carpets, and we put all kinds of shit in it. And then we would have AIM initiations in that house too. So like if you wanted to join AIM at the time, you had to rock with us in there all night, drinking, getting fucked up, bombing the interior walls, doing throw-ups, and just wilding out.
Word up. Yo, for those of you just joining us right now, we are live, MECS AIM on Art Talk. Please support by picking up a badge, $1, $3, $4, $5, and we're going to keep this thing moving because this is Miami history. Let's go. I'm just going to shoot through a few of these. You know, this is this Mech and Merlin piece here. Where was this?
That was on the Tasco wall. That was off the Palmetto and 20th Street. For those that know the importance of that wall, that's where Deck from 7-Up rocked the original Demoism, which is also another legendary historical piece. But that was on that wall. However, and then also after that, the Demoism, 7-Up came and rocked that wall again and did a Vice DMS on that wall with 2 ElfQuest characters, raw piece. And then in 1990, I don't know if this was 1990 or 91, I can't really remember, but we rocked this. and that's when they were making the palmetto wider. And man, those pieces are so big like that. Like you look at that wall and you think whatever, but to do that piece, we stood on those 50-gallon barrels that they use for oil that are like 4 feet, 3.5 feet tall. We stood on that to do those pieces. So that's how big those pieces are.
Word.
They're huge. I mean, literally, they're huge.
And we got
Black Book page.
I'm just gonna zoom in and check some detail on it. You know? So what kind of markers? What kind of markers were you using? What was the theme?
How would you? Designer markers. I did that in my black book when I started going to art school. So I had this new black book that also became like a sketchbook for art school. So I did that on the opening page, and pretty much I took that character from the Amall City Part 2 and I revamped it. So I redid the character from the Amall City, and I was going to art school and I was just playing around with different abstract ideas with these chains holding up a wall and this hermaphrodite and I don't know, man, this eyeball. Really getting artistic.
And then in that same hood, right, with Seal with the canals, I know that was always a mission. But here, for example, you chose a message, and I know a lot of times you put these positive messages in your work. What's the theme behind that?
Well, when we did this, we wanted to do something that was other than our names, and during that time, I was, I guess, pretty much heavy into Christianity or whatever. And we decided to give a good message instead of just throwing up pieces. Give somebody on their morning commute or their evening commute or on their daily drive, some inspiration.
Right.
So that was the whole idea behind that. We did a couple of pieces like that during this period, as a movement to get away from just putting up our tags and stuff.
Another MECS.
Yeah, I was on Bird Road in 72nd, right in front of Bird Drive Park. Illegal piece, rack cans. I think I did that in like 1994. That was a hot spot, man. It was like right on Bird Road. I mean,
yeah, man, it looks like it's
right here, and the wall was right there.
And you see here, like the photos, right? This was a skill that we learned from looking at subway art. You take pictures of two photos and put them together, right?
That's right. Put togethers. Damn Aim, big ass blockbuster. When I did that blockbuster, when we finished that blockbuster, that was me, Freak, and Junior. When we finished that blockbuster, we said we're never painting on those slopes again. We all went home with sore ankles because that thing was just ginormous. I mean, ginormous. You can see the dude sitting on the A.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much see how big it is. It's huge. I believe that's my homie Willie. Rest in peace. I think that's Willie sitting up there. Yeah, I think so, man. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, no doubt. So here, man, there's been a lot. This has created a lot of conversation, man. What do you know about STV Crew?
What do I know about STV Crew? I know everything about STV Crew.
Tell us.
Specialized to vandalize, man. That's one of the rawest crew names ever I could think of. That's just too fresh. So yeah, that's a really dope piece, man. I gotta say, Quattro came real proper with that outline. That Quattro outline is hard. The way that arrow kicks off at the end, and the S is just stupid. The S is just stupid as hell. So that was Quattro, me, Motive, and I want to say that I was there and maybe Neem was there. A couple other members of Bomb Crew were there, and that was pretty much just a me and a Bomb Crew production. Because I used to roll heavy with all the members of Bomb Crew. Those homies were, my boys from middle school and whatnot. So Quattro did the outline, I did the fills in the background, and I if I'm not mistaken, I came up with that real thick 3D, but that might have been a Quattro edition, but I believe that was my idea. But I'm not, I'm not 100%. Real raw piece. So that was on Miller and 137.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a Greyhound yard. I don't know I think they just knocked it down recently. So you used to be able to see that wall traveling on, what is that, 395 heading towards Miami Beach, that by Club Space. Cure gave me that spot. I think Cure is the one that got that legal wall, and Cure and M6 are the ones that gave up the spot to Sealing on.
And I see it's like you got the reiteration of the AIM medallion and the AIM logo there, right?
Yeah, two different versions. Yeah, the cursive and geometric. And we did that for the Fast and Furious movie that was filmed in Miami. So we were pretty much commissioned to do that wall. Had a good time with that one.
And real quick, I see your style developed over the years to almost create like this mirror image. Now, are you bringing an outline to the wall? Are you just doing that freestyle? How do you do it? It looks like it's, and how does your architecture degree play into that kind of work?
My architecture is asymmetrical. It definitely has no symmetry in it whatsoever. But I developed that symmetrical style just over the years. I guess from doing the MEK, I started getting into this symmetry, and then I started doing these MEKSs, and then it evolved to these MECSs with a reverse C, and that's what I've been doing pretty much for at least probably the last 12 years or something. Yeah, I call this style smoke and mirrors. This is when I was developing it. This is when I started developing it. Yeah. And yeah, most of this was this wall, I came with an outline. That last wall was freestyle. Most pieces that you see that I do these days are all freestyle. Not even these days, like for the past maybe like 15 years, 95% of them are freestyle.
Word.
So that was a wall I did with Freak and Elix, and that was right on Biscayne Boulevard, right in front of Bayside. Prime time spot. Real nice wall. Big piece too. That was a MECS seal. That's like on the outskirts of Wynwood, before Wynwood was Wynwood, or like right when Wynwood was trying to become Wynwood.
By the way, Wynwood, Museum of Graffiti's right in the heart of you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to tell the truth, man.
Shout out to the Museum of Graffiti, absolutely.
By the way, that Saber show is off the hook. If you're in Miami, make sure you come check it out.
This is the same spot as the Fast and Furious wall. We were commissioned to do this wall as well through Ease. Ease is the one who had a contract with Altoids or Craft Corporation. And good time. We joined a bunch of old school writers, probably like 30 of us. And man, free paint, free food, good time, music. Never forget this.
And that wall still, to this day, you have a MEC piece on the corner of it still.
I sure do. I do. That's like by 20th and 20th. That's I forget what they call that neighborhood in Spanish, but it's like 20th and 20th. Did that with Freaky. Yeah, there was a freak on the other side of that character. So it was a freak. It was like a dam, a freak, the character, the MECS, and the AIM. Another wall that I did with Freaky and Elix, that's on the entrance of Wynwood. Before Wynwood was Wynwood. That wall is all like painted up right now with, I don't know, some like mural type shit. That's right next to where Atomic did that big overtime.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Official B-boy status right there.
Yeah, yeah. Again, that's in Wynwood before Wynwood was Wynwood. I did that by myself. That was a pretty big piece. That was an ambitious endeavor that I took on there. That piece ran forever. I think that piece ran for like 14 years or something. Or like 12 years or some shit like that.
How long did it take you to paint it?
It took me a couple of days. I would go after work. I would get out of work. I worked in downtown, and I'd get out of work and I'd drive over there and paint till the sun came down. It took me about maybe a week. I took my time. I hung out, met a lot of cool people. There was a chop shop right next door. It was cool. Cool times. Yeah, I did that with Faux and Delves. That's an old school outline that I did in 1989. And then I threw that up in 1999. And Faux came out to hang out with me that I hadn't seen him in a long time. And he sketched up that character. They sketched it on paper, then I threw it up on the wall. My boy Freaky in them trains. Did a lot of trains. Did a lot of shit with Freaky. Did a lot of walls with Freaky, man. Did a lot of walls. Mir, boy. That's the dude that taught me how to paint. Like, I knew how to paint, but I didn't really know how to paint. I went out with Mir to do a couple of pieces, and that was it. I took off. But yeah, I credit all my paint, like my hand skills and my painting skills, is definitely highly influenced by Mir and Merlin. Those two dudes they're just they're artists. That's what they are. They're artists. Yeah. I'm just some guy that writes. These guys were artists.
So again, we have some new, we're hearing about your partners. You had Freak, you had Merlin. Who's your partner here in this piece?
Pest. Did a lot of stuff with Pest, man. That's a good dude right there. 131. Shout out to 131.
What up?
Cool dude. Very cool dude. Talented artist. We did that in the Miami Marina pennant. That was on the front wall as soon as you came into the pennant. Yeah. Again, illegal. Most of this stuff that you've seen has been illegal, except for a couple of legal pieces. That was off the rail. That's, man, I've been painting that spot. Well, I haven't painted it lately, but I should. That's
we're going to keep it moving off of that. And this is in my hood. This is like 7th Ave and maybe in the 30s, something like that.
Yeah, it's like 40. It's like right after you pass the 112.
Still running.
Still running.
It's
still
faded
running
like crazy. We got to hit it with the remix.
And they wanted me to go over it, and I'm not gonna go over it. It's gonna stay there, man. That was yeah. I gotta hit him with the remix. I like that. That was a good one. So yeah, those two characters. That's the character on the left. That's Dread. And then the character on the right is Rudy. So he's a rude boy. He's the gangster nigga. That's the dude that wants to go out and rob and steal and do all this thug shit. And then Dread, on the other hand, he's more conscious. He's the Rasta. He's into, being righteous. He's vegan. But they both influence each other. I want to do a comic series out of it so that Dread influences Rude Boy to do righteous shit, and then Rude Boy influences Dread to do gangster shit.
Word up. Yeah. There it is.
AIM VO5, 27th Ave. Yep, dope spot, man. Good times.
For those that are just checking in, who and what is VO5 and how important are they to the Miami history?
Man, very outstanding 5, man. They're pretty much the ones that took over after everybody kind of fell off, not that they fell off, but they kind of, they probably matured and started doing other things. VO5 is a legendary crew, man. Shout out to Javeski, Seam, Dash, Sneak. I mean, them homies, they made noise, man. They did dope pieces. And Javeski's a boss, boy. He's a boss.
Word up.
Yeah, Del's MECS, that was in the pennant that was on 79th Street. And I forget the name of that pennant, man, but it was like 79th Street and 27th Ave. We did that at nighttime. We did that shit in the rain with umbrellas.
You talking about the Hialeah pennant?
Nah, it was in Hialeah, but it's not the Hialeah pennant. It's like this little side pennant that was off of 27th Ave and 79th Street,
all right,
where the rail curves and starts heading west.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This one here, man, the Kryptonite.
Yeah, that was a hard piece. So again, that was illegal. That was in some abandoned building right around the corner from that one. That was on 27th Ave and like 87th or 89th or 92nd, some shit like that. It was an old car dealership, and that was Freak, me, Seal, and Foe. And we did these 3 bodets, and we did all these buds on the bottom, bodet in the middle, rolling a joint in a cloud, all these marijuana leaves on top. It was a good time, man. It took us a week to do that.
Word.
A week. That's my latest. That's one of my more recent pieces. I did that in that new pennant that I believe is shut down, but maybe it ain't. Maybe homies are still painting there over there by the airport off of 37th.
All right.
I did that with Dez and Javeski. Well, shout out to my homie Dez. Don put me onto that spot too, so shout out to that homie Don.
I see Dez is getting up again too, man.
Yeah.
Good to see familiar names after so long, you know?
I rocked this with Dez too. That was an illegal piece. I forget where that is, man. Somewhere over there off of 7th Ave or something. I forget the name of that hood over there. But, yeah, we rocked that illegal.
Yo, so for those of you just tuning in right now, we are live with MEC from AIM Crew. We're going in on Miami history. We are on Art Talks. It's not a game. Thank you for rocking with us. Make sure you pick up some badges. And now we're going to shift into, like, you know, what you've been doing nowadays, MEC. But that badge, please support $1, $3, $4, $5. Just make it happen, y'all. Now, as you're familiar, obviously, you've been such a huge influence to me. And over the years, you're one of the first writers ever just to take me under your wing. You taught me about hip-hop culture. And I was able to take what you share with me and some of the other brothers have shared with me and create and found path with my wife, preserving, archiving, teaching hip-hop, where we take all the elements of hip-hop culture, as you know, because you are one of our graffiti instructors. So I'd like you just to talk a little bit about what's the experience now. You grew up in the streets, bombing, painting, illegal, racking, and now to be able to share that. I'm just going to run this video on the back and we can talk a little bit about your experience with path and teaching in general.
Yeah, you know, I had a good time as a youth. You know, I racked a lot of paint, did a lot of illegal pieces, bombed like crazy. I had a real good time as a young adult, as a teenager. You know, I had a graffiti writing basically turned me into, you know, the man that I am today. It taught me discipline, you know, it taught me organization. It taught me how to be creative, you know, how to join together, you know, team building, teamwork. It's been an integral part of my life. I mean, I couldn't imagine, you know, not being without writing or hip hop culture. And you know, before I was writing, I was always into hip hop and rap music. You know, like when Run DMC and all those first albums came out, I was right there at the record store, buying them. And I didn't even really know too much about writing. I mean, I would see it, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I was real young, you know, like 9 or 10 or something like that. And, you know, I've always been interested in hip-hop culture. And, you know, I started breaking. I wasn't really good at that. I got into the rap. I really wasn't good at that. But I was always into drawing. So for me to just start painting and piecing and doing this it just came natural to me.
And you know, also I just want to take time to acknowledge, because the Museum of Graffiti, Cobra Paint, and this space right here, right? You remember the spot where we were at?
Yeah, co-work. Yes, sir.
Mine's co-work just gave us a space and said, yo, get busy, and gave us the opportunity. So big ups to all y'all for your support, man. We are grateful. We are grateful. So as we continue to draw, tell us some of like the life lessons you've learned from graffiti.
Oh, well, I tell you, one of the main life lessons that it taught me was to be on the alert at all times. To be on the alert, because when you're painting as, you know, as a young teenager or as a young adult, I went out and did a lot of illegal shit. And most of the times when I got bagged or I got busted or I got roped or whatever you want to call it, was because I was sleeping or I was slipping or I wasn't listening to my intuition. So that's like the main thing that it taught me right there is, you know, to be on the alert at all times. You got to watch your back. You got to look at the future, the present, and the past constantly.
No doubt.
That's the main thing that I've learned from writing.
No doubt. Yo, we are kicking it live with MECS from AIM Crew. We got some people in the house. We got some time left to spare. What's like your, people don't know, let's talk about this for a moment. Seal. Who is Seal and how important is Seal to the Miami graffiti community?
man, I don't think writing would be what it is today without him, to be honest with you, man.
Why is that?
He man, he's a master organizer. I mean, when it comes to writing, you know, a lot of pretty much everything I've done has been a product of like the work that I put in, not the actual work that I do, but the work that I put in. That is all a part of, you know, Seal's heart. That's Seal's heart right there. Mm-hmm. And he's just a master organizer, man. Like I said, you saw I ran through those pieces. There's another SEAL. There's another SEAL mission. There's another SEAL mission. He was just always thinking outside the box. He was a forward thinker, very difficult to deal with, you know, very unique, charismatic person. But he was, man, he's the mastermind. That's the way I look at it. And he's helped a lot of crews, you know, even get their foot in the door. He started a lot of crews, you know, CTF, which was a big bombing crew in Little Havana. That I was a member.
Claim the fame?
He claimed the fame. I'm sure there's a lot of people, you know, maybe listening who might have been a part of that crew. And that's SEAL's inception. You know, without SEAL, there would have been no CTF. You know, then that was basically my gateway into the higher crews like TIA, and then, you know, eventually AIM. You know?
And AIM, give us some of the names AIM stands for.
Artists in Motion, All Ink Masters, another IRE meditation, always in meditation, artists influenced by marijuana, mind to buy. This list goes on and on.
No doubt. Well, yo, y'all are rocking live with MEC from AIM Crew. Drop some questions in the chat and let's get this portion going. We got 10 minutes left, so whoever got some questions, let's see what we can get to. Please support and pick up a badge. Greatly appreciate your support.
I see you, Veer. DOM, boy. See?
Rock the bell.
Seal was in that crew, too. Seal was in that crew. Seal was one of the founding members of DOM. And that was, man, that crew was retarded. That DOM piece that they did on the Wall of Fame, what was it, DOM, and it was another crew. Was it a mob? Yeah, it was a DOM mob. Man, that piece was hard with those characters by Noor. I know you guys remember Noor. Some of you homies got to remember Noor.
Noor 9. Noor 9 down south.
Yep, Noor 9 down south, boy. That homie was a king of characters.
Do you feel like there was a difference in style between North Miami and South Miami? In the 80s, in the late 80s.
Yeah, you know, I want to say there was, yeah, definitely, you know, just from Hialeah to Westchester had two different styles. You know, so you didn't even have to go all the way to North Miami, but when you went to North Miami, you had crews like, man, what was that crew that was hitting back then, man? I can't remember, man, right now. They did this dope piece off the I-95 in the center walls called Big Time. I know Center's in here. He remembers that piece. That was a dope ass piece with a character with a gun. Yeah. You know that's where they did another piece, Too Much Soul, off I-95 by the railroad tracks.
Yep.
Yeah. What was the name of that crew, man? We had major beef with them too, and I can't remember them. But yeah, that shit was crazy, man.
No doubt. So we see a mention of ATKM. What can you tell us about WFW and ATKM crew?
ATKM, well, Micro and Miro, those are the founder homies. I mean, I'm sure there's some other homies that started that crew, but man, they were a big influence on me. Those were some of the, when I first started writing, like when me and Val started riding bike and catching tags, we had some other homie that used to roll with us, Rolly, and my other homie Al. I can't remember what them dudes used to write. And then my partner Parnell and K-Tel. We used to ride bikes everywhere. And Micro and Miro, man, they used to do some walls like in these hidden spots in Kendall. I wish I had flicks of this shit. They did this one wall, and they're the ones that started ATKM, man. Man, they just did some of the rawest pieces, the cocaine, the ghetto piece in the Found Blue Pennant. I mean, man, those pieces were just, those were, again, some more pieces that looked like they were peeled out of Subway Art, or they, you know, you peeled them off of a whole car in New York. I mean, they were big influences on my style. Big influences on my style, yeah. Icy and Scam, Demo, Need, all of those homies, bro. They did some dope shit. Ease was a part of that crew. Faz. You know?
So what's next for you? What are your goals and desires when it comes to art?
When it comes to art, I just want to do some more dope pieces, man. That's what I want to do. Going through some of these flicks for this interview, made me, I got to look at, my work retrospect that I really don't do too often. It's been a long time since I've actually gone through my photo album. And I only went through one of them real quick yesterday, pulling out a couple flicks. But I think I'm ready to do some more pieces and some productions. Because, there hasn't been I haven't done a lot of production, so I'm looking forward to doing a big production like that AMV05 that we were looking at. Mm-hmm. Something like that. I wouldn't mind some bombing too. I know my boy Dunn wants to get in on that. Shout out to my homie Dunn. You know what I mean? I know that boy will go crazy for bombing. One time I went racking, me, Merlin, and Dunn went racking. And we went to the Sears in Town and Country Mall. And right by the exit, they had this pallet of Rusto Blacks. Man, it must have been like 24 cans there, 48 cans. We went in there and racked, all of us. So we all came out strapped up with the paint, in our waistband. On the way out, Dunn saw that pallet. He's like, fuck that shit. He grabbed that whole pallet and walked out with it right there at the door.
That's it, man. The craziness of teen life, right?
Yeah.
No doubt. So what do you think about the difference now between graffiti being so easily acceptable, so legal, it's okay to bite? Like, what, coming from your era, how do you feel about that?
It's cool. It's cool and it's not cool, I mean, a new generation of writers has to come up, and they're going to have different ideals and a different perspective and a different view on what writing is, and I have no problem with that. I'm pretty sure that when I was coming up, I had a lot of beef when I was coming up. I'm sure a lot of homies in here know that I did. And, because I was like a new generation coming up. All the homies that I was hanging out with, like Seal, Even, Mir, Nor, all these AIM crew, TMS, all these AIM crew dudes that I was hanging out with, man, they were old. I was a kid. I was like 15. These dudes are like 18 years old. Like right here on this wall right there, I think Seal was like 18 years old. I was 15 years old rocking that shit. Word. So, and I was taking, to, not to sound, arrogant or nothing, but I was like taking the game to a new level at the time. I was like a new generation of writer that was coming up. There was, some of my peers can identify with this because they were also doing the same thing. And, I caught a lot of slack with some of the old school writers because, and that's the way it's going to be. Right. And what's happening now was what I don't approve of. What's happening now is all these murals. I mean, I'm cool with murals and I'm cool with expression, but what I feel is going to happen is that the mural and the street art is eventually going to displace writing altogether. And pretty soon, Wynwood is going to, as much as people think that Wynwood is like the mecca right now of graffiti, I don't know. That's what I've heard. I wouldn't know if I want to call it that, but that's what I've heard people refer it to. Pretty soon, I mean, writing is going to be, once it gentrifies more and more condos go up and high-end restaurants and, bourgeois people start, more bourgeois people start moving into the neighborhood, writing is going to get displaced and be unacceptable, and the street art is going to take its place. And we'll be back. We potentially could be back where we started prior to all this love that we're getting right now. Word. But I feel like all this love that we're getting right now is a marketing strategy. It's not really that they're showing love to writing and to hip hop culture. They're really just, we're the, how do I call it? We are the dominant purchasing group in the world, demographic. So, why not sell us our shit, right? So that we come and buy their shit. No doubt. That's my two main problems with the way, hip hop and writing is, what's happening to it, how it's, metamorphosizing.
Word. So, yo, we got about 2 more minutes. Any questions? Anybody want a question from the MECS AIM crew, AIM All City? By the way, I wasn't saying it's okay to bite. Nowadays, I'm saying that's the understanding. I'm just addressing someone in the chat. I don't think it's all right to bite. But
Yeah,
inspiration,
there's
you
a
know
lot
what I
of
mean?
biting. There's a lot of fucking biting. That's all I gotta say. There's a lot of biting. I mean, a lot of it. And you know, to me, a lot of the new homies that are painting and doing pieces, they do fresh pieces. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of it looks the same. Like I don't really see a lot of you. There's some homies that got unique style, but a lot of it looks the same, man. Same fill-ins, same background, same way they do the highlight, the same trim style, the same flares, whatever the hell it is. They're all doing the same shit, too. So I see a lack of creativity or uniqueness, or whatever you want to call it. That's something that I feel is lacking in writing these days.
And yo, we just spent 60 minutes with the one and only Mech from AIM Crew. Show him some love before we get out of here. Please support the Museum of Graffiti. Pick up a badge. We're about to get out of here. Thank you so much, my brother Mech. Nothing but love, man. Nothing but
What's up,
you.
bud?
You already know what it is. You already know.
For having me. Thank you, Brim, for hosting, and thank you, Museum of Graffiti, for inviting me and allowing me this opportunity to share my story with the viewers in the world. Thank you very much.
One love. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Peace.